Welcome to the Brothers in Media with the Bros Who Know. And that is Scott and Craig Colby. That's who we are. Today, we are going to be talking about sports media. It may be the last place people from different political backgrounds can come together. But how much of what we're seeing and getting is actually journalism? And if it's not journalism, what separates sports media from the thousands of bloggers and podcasters out there? We've got an expert guest to give us the inside scoop. But first, as always, I'm joined by Scott Colby, my brother. He's a journalist with 36 years of experience as a reporter, columnist, editor, photographer, and designer, as well as a national best-selling author and the creator of the Coach Colby Writing Academy. Visit his website, coachcolby.me, for a free insider's cheat sheet on how to write effective op-eds. You know, he's worked a little bit in sports.
And he's Craig Colby, who has spent 37 years in broadcasting. He's an award-winning executive producer and author and owner of Colby Vision, a video production and consulting company. Craig started his career in sports. Who knew? But our guest today has worked in sports his entire career. He's a 7-time Emmy Award-winning host, reporter, anchor, and play-by-play announcer who has spent 25 years covering the Detroit sports scene. Yes. He's the past president of the Detroit Sports Broadcaster Association, and perhaps most importantly, he is an inductee into the Dresden Sports Hall of Fame. I think perhaps more importantly, he's on the Bros Who Know. Welcome, Trevor Thompson.
Hey, thanks, guys. That intro certainly outdoes what I think of myself in my own mind. You're talking about somebody else there with those accolades.
It's all you, man. It's a real deal. Which of those honors means the most to you, Trevor?
The Dresden Sports Hall of Fame, without a doubt, to be recognized in my hometown, to have my parents still around to see something like that, and to have my friends and family gather on a night like that, something I'm definitely never, ever going to forget. So that would be the icing on the cake for me. Absolutely.
I bet. The only Hall of Fame I'll ever be in is my basement Hall of Fame. I may put a picture of myself up in there somewhere at some point. But let's get into the good stuff. People don't want to hear that about me anyway. They certainly want to hear it about you, especially in the Detroit area. But let's get right into the meat of the stuff. You have worked as the broadcaster, host broadcasters for different, major sports teams. How much journalism can a rights holder for a sports team actually do?
I think when you're a rights holder for a pro sports team, you're more of a team partner than a journalist. And I think that journalists are obviously trying to break stories, trying to be the first to break stories, using sources. And when you're a team partner, it's more about supporting the team, getting the team message across, helping them promote their team, whatever it might be, sell some tickets, promote upcoming events that are going on, some bobblehead night or whatever it might be. You're using your pregame shows and intermissions and that sort of thing to do that kind of thing rather than breaking hard news. So breaking hard news and being a journalist is certainly separate than being a team partner, but being on the inside, being embedded, being on the team plane, seeing some of the things you see, it certainly opens your eyes to what these guys go through on a more realistic day-to-day basis. But you're certainly a step back from trying to break news and expose certain things or certain people.
Has that ever been a problem for you?
Not for me.
No,
it's not been a problem for me. I mean, I know the lane I'm in. I know who's paying my bills, so it's rather easy. And when I grew up in Dresden, which is less than an hour from Detroit, so I'm actually covering the teams I grew up watching and cheering for. So to be on the inside, to be a part of that, to have my friends come over, get them tickets to go to games and share those kinds of experiences along the way, that was a blast for me, rather than being a mercenary going wherever you are trying to break stories and expose people, or being on the grimier side of things, which some journalists are. Some are straight up and have more credibility, but depending on where you want to go and what lane you want to drive in, I drove in this lane, had a blast doing it, and I have no regrets.
I think the public understands that too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
how this all works. I don't think it's a big surprise. We're not pulling back any curtain that that people like yourself, when you're in that position, you have a role to play. Like you said, your lane.
Yeah, absolutely. The public understands that. And I think the public is cheering for the team as much as you are. They want to see them win. They get frustrated when the front office isn't doing what they think it should do. And sometimes you have to be truthful as far as that goes too. And you have to, tell the story like it is when the product isn't succeeding on the ice. There's been some lean years here. Red Wings are going through it right now. The Tigers certainly went through it. The Lions, until the last couple of years, it was the SOL rather, same old Lions. Every year. Yeah. And what creative way could they find to lose right now? There's no way you could paint a different story. So you have to tell the truth. The fans in Detroit, especially one of the best sports cities in the country, they know what they're watching. They get it and they understand it. You can't fool them, so you don't try to.
What kind of pushback do you get from the teams when they're not doing well and, you have to spill the truth?
I don't think you would get so much pushback from teams. Sometimes if you really go overboard, there have been a couple of instances where the team, hey, I didn't like what you said last night, but the players will let you know if they don't like what you say as well. They'll take you aside and say, hey, man, why would you say something like that? Or did you know, or another teammate might take you aside, hey, you said this about this dude. Did you know what he's going through playing right now? He's playing through this injury or that injury or whatever the case might be, right? So you get some of that along the way, but there's really not a lot of pushback because really you want to be a good team partner. So you're always going to be trying to help support them and spread their message, whatever that message might be on a particular game.
What's that relationship like with the players? I think that's something people have a lot of curiosity about. Certainly it's easy for the players to blame the media. And, we see a lot of it with politicians too. What's that relationship like with the people you're reporting about every day?
Certain people are a little more sensitive. Certain guys in certain sports are a little more sensitive. And I also think, though, they understand it. And they put themselves, just like you do when you're in the media, if you're on TV, you expose yourself. You leave yourself open to public perception, to criticism, whatever it might be. When you're a pro athlete and you're making that kind of money and you're out there every day, people are going to come at you if you're not performing at the level they expect you to. If you've got a big contract and you're not performing up to that standard, not just in Detroit, whatever it is and whatever sport it is, people are going to let you know. So I think they understand that. It comes with the territory, but I also think athletes these days are a little more sensitive than they used to be. I think they're a little more exposed now than they used to be because of social media, and everybody is a reporter, everybody's a blogger, everybody's got an opinion that they can voice online. And social media, to me, is the devil right now. I mean, some of the things that people come at you with and some of the things they say and just how vicious they are. I can see how it would get into a guy's head day after day after day, year after year, if certain people keep coming at you. So I know some guys don't watch it, and other guys back in the day would say they don't read the newspapers, and that would be the reason why. You can't let that stuff filter into your head and expect to perform at your peak. But they're open to criticism. They know it. They accept it. They get paid for it. That's part of the job, and I think that they all understand that, fans and players alike.
A lot of these athletes are young, obviously, when they arrive on the scene.
Younger and younger all the time, right?
Yeah, the good ones get to play into their 30s and maybe become quite mature and quite seasoned. I guess my question is, how much can you see, like, how much media training do these young people get in handling the media and handling these situations? And I mean, there must be some who are naturals, right? Who are good at it, who know how to be charming and say things and whatnot. And there's others who must be completely terrified by having to deal with all this as a 22 or 23 or 24-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, and in fact, Scott, there was a time in my life I thought my second career would be a media consultant with teams or with universities, or take a business along and train kids how to deal with the media. And then social media came along, and everybody is their own brand, and they're deciding how they want to brand themselves. They're getting their own message out. They're doing it in new creative ways that we never thought of 25 years ago. We didn't see this coming and being what it is today as far as that goes. So I think people embrace their personality. They're embracing their style, whether it's fashion or whatever it might be. And they're trying to go all out there to get the likes, to get the clicks, to get the following, because then they can be influencers. They can add more money. In the old days, it used to be, hey, if you've got personality, you can get endorsements and commercials doing shampoo or selling beer or whatever it might be. But now you can do your own thing. You're your own brand, and you can spin it any way you want to on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it might be. I've seen a lot of guys get burnt with it. We've all seen guys get burnt with it. You say the wrong thing and all of a sudden you're canceled. But if you're doing it in a creative, fun way, it can be a great way to reach an audience all by yourself without having to depend on the media to put you out there or try to spin a thing a certain way or use cliches that you deal with the media. You can really be yourself and let yourself express yourself in that way when you're using social media. So I think it's changed in that way a lot as far as that goes, Scott, these days. And they're training themselves, and they don't really, I don't know if it's training. They're just being who they are. And sometimes it's fun. And sometimes, like I say, you can get burnt by it.
I guess it starts in college now with the NIL, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. And is that ever going to change sports? I'm not sure that's a healthy thing with some of these NIL contracts I'm seeing out here now.
I want to follow up on what you just talked about, though, because sort of in our old days, in our original days, like to get exposure, athletes had to talk to the guy with the microphone.
Right.
And that was you on camera or me off camera. And that's how they reached out to people. Somebody else had to do it. Now they can do it for themselves. They can be their own brand. They can send their own message. How has that changed the way they react to you, the media?
That's an interesting question. I think the one way that it's changed a little bit is they're not dependent on you. They don't wait for you to come around, or they don't need you to come around to get their message out. But when they get their message out and you get a glimpse behind the curtain and they're including their families, let's say, in their social media, you can then take that and get deeper with somebody and bring that aspect of them out. And if it's not something they want to talk about, then the audience gets to know them even better, because if they're not on TikTok, my mom's not on TikTok, but if she watches our show, she can learn more about somebody that I've learned from them through their social media. So I think that it's another opportunity really to increase the number of ways you can get your message across, that you can relate to the audience, that people can get to know you, and you can just really take advantage of that in that way.
It sounds like now they have a reason to need you, because your promotion for them is actually promotion for their brand.
That's true,
and
too.
Their growth and their personality. It's not just somebody bugging me with the microphone and I might get ripped in the media. Yeah.
And I think that the trust factor in the old days was lower than it is today. If they know you want to talk about what they're doing on their social media, that's a safe space for them. If you come microphone in hand and they have no idea what's coming next, they're a little more reserved. They've gotten burnt before. They don't trust the media. Some guys shut down, refuse to talk to media after they got burnt back in the day. I think there's a little less of that now because they can pick and choose what they want to talk about.
There's also like a huge number of podcasts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Athletes hosting their own podcasts, retired athletes, current athletes. They have their friends on, and that's a way that they can. I mean, the number one example is Aaron Rodgers, right? Appearing on the Pat McAfee show and getting paid $1 million each episode, right? But that's where the news gets broken, for the most part these days.
Yeah, and I've got a podcast. I'll promote that right now with an ex-Lion, Glover Quinn, former NFL All-Pro.
Nice.
Believe in Lions on the Believe podcast network. And I just started that recently. That's been a lot of fun engaging with him. He's got a great personality, great knowledge of the sports. The Lions are huge right here. And if you hit on something that you've got an audience that, for instance, the Lions are huge in Detroit right now, this is going to be pretty successful. We're going to get a lot of viewership as far as that goes. But everybody, I go back to that point, Scott, everybody can do it. All you need to do is plug into a wall, get a YouTube channel, or just decide, like the two of you have, hey, I'm going to get my brother, we're going to go do this. And you're out there, and you don't have to go to school for it. Nobody has to hire you for it. If you can somehow get it to go viral, you can make some money as far as that goes. And people are trying it, and they're doing it and succeeding at it all day, every day. But everybody's got one, and everybody's got a cell phone. And when you're in the scrums these days, people are like in your way with their cell phone in front of your cameraman, or the bloggers are out there never going to a game, never talking to an athlete, and writing these stories or spreading rumors. And I know for a fact that bothers coaches, it bothers players, the people who don't show up and do that. But that's the way of the world these days. And certain people are taking advantage of it, and certain people are taking advantage of it in other ways, as far as I think the negativity that can be spread out there with social media, like I already alluded to.
But do you overall think, sorry, just one quick question. Do you overall think that this let's call it access, even though it may be highly controlled access. Do you think that is a healthy thing for the athletes and for the sports community, for the fans? I
just think it's the way it is. I'm not going to say whether it's healthy or not healthy. I I think the people that are consuming it have to be careful what they're consuming. So in that way, I guess it might not be healthy because there's very little truth. There's a lot of rumor. There's a lot of innuendo. There's a lot of speculation. People just flat out lie as far as that goes, and they don't have to be accountable to anybody, and they're out there just willy-nilly wheeling and dealing and saying whatever they want. That's not healthy, and there is a lot of that. But the fact that some people have the opportunity to pursue their dreams and achieve their dreams via this route, and they're doing it the right way, that's a good thing. And I think that gives you more avenues to access information and consume information and be entertained. But like, again, to go back to what are you in it for? What are you doing? And what's your real message?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into is, the bloggers. Obviously, Scott and I have started a podcast. You're on it. We're also media professionals. We've had a lot of media training. We know how to interview. We have the guardrails of journalism that we've grown up with. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean anybody else is following those things.
That's
right?
The truth.
And what's the difference between what you do, especially in the sports world, and what the bloggers do?
Accountability, I think, is the number one thing. When we were coming up, we had to get it right, or we were going to answer for it. We had to spell names right, say names right, get the facts right in the story when you're on air. And if you didn't get it right, you had to be accountable to somebody. And if you didn't get it right, your credibility took a hit. And the more you got it wrong and the more your credibility took a hit, well, then you're looking for work. These days, there's no accountability in that sense. We're team partners, so we're accountable to not only our bosses at the network, but the team and the players as well. If you're a blogger who never shows up to a game, you're not accountable to anyone, and you can say anything. So I think the biggest difference is just accountability and credibility because of the accountability.
And when you're broadcasting, when you're preparing something, what kind of approval process or feedback process do you get?
So I'll just take you through a game day. We have a morning production call, and I've got several ideas. Some I may have been working on, some might have just popped up. But on that call, I'm running it by everybody on the call. So the producer, the director, the play-by-play and the analyst, we're all going through everything, and the graphics people so they can build the graphics. So we're running everything by everybody on a show. And if somebody doesn't like it or somebody's got questions about it or they're questioning the sources behind it, we're going to go through it right then and there. We're going to hash it out. I'm not just going to get on air and all of a sudden start blasting out things that no one's heard about and we're not ready for to back up, whether it's with graphics or with sound or whatever it might be. So I think that in that vein, we're always reporting to somebody or sharing our ideas before they ever hit air. And it's all checked and double checked before it does hit air.
Yeah, the last job I had in sports was an executive producer for the National Lacrosse League. And all our meetings were like that, right? Mm-hmm. There was, unless something happened in the game you were reacting to, which is, of course, the best thing, everybody brought things and were checked and processed with graphics and sound. It's a production. You're not just pulling it out of the air.
Exactly.
Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you, and I don't expect you to talk about any specifics if that happens, but where there might be a story you really want to tell about an athlete, but they want to keep it hush hush. And I'm not like a scandal, but maybe it's an injury or maybe it's death in the family or their child is dealing with a disability or whatever. There's something weighing on an athlete or there's just a really good story you want to tell.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah, countless times that's happened. And you simply go to the guy and you talk to him about it. Hey, is this something we can talk about? Do you mind if I talk about this? Or I'm going to talk about this. How do you want to spin it? Because sometimes you don't have a choice. It's news. It's out there. You have to talk about it. Hey, yeah. I'm going to talk about this. How do you want to spin it? What would you want me to say or not say? And then in other situations, if it's not out there, and sometimes when it is, we're going to go with this tonight. You okay with that? And they'll say yes or no, and you just respect them because of the relationship you're trying to build. You guys know probably the most important thing you can do in this business is develop relationships. When you've got relationships with people, you've got trust with people, you don't ever want to break that. So having those things in place supersedes any story you might have. So it's short money trying to break stories or trying to, expose somebody. It's all about relationships and how you can carry those long term. And I think that's what I've really prided myself on is the relationships I've been able to build over my years here in Detroit and across the industry that I've been in.
Did you ever have a situation where you maybe made a mistake inadvertently and got in trouble because you broke a trust, or I find in my job, it's the things you don't expect that cause the biggest problems, right? The ones that you prepare and plan for, you usually are pretty good at, and all of a sudden something comes up like, what, you didn't want me to talk about that? Like, how was I supposed to know?
It's happening, but it hasn't been anything major. The guy's like, hey man, why'd you say that or whatever? Hey, well, I didn't know. Or you just talk to the guy, you have a real conversation, own up. If you're wrong, you say sorry. If you're not wrong, say, hey man, that's the way it is, sorry. And they understand that too. But I'll give you one quick story. This was off the cuff, and it happened with the Tigers way back in the day. Roger Cedeno was still playing for the Tigers back in the day, if you guys remember him. And he hit a
great outfielder.
Great outfielder. Hit a walk-off home run at home one night, and we're doing the walk-off interview, and it's live, and he says to me, that was a big moment for me, my wife just had a miscarriage. I'm going to go in and call her on the phone. Nobody knew that. I don't know if some of his teammates knew that, but he dropped it on me live on air. I didn't even know where to go. I'm like, why are you here? First of all, it's the first thing that crossed my mind. Why are you here? I'm glad I didn't know that, and I didn't have to tell that story throughout the night. But yeah, he dropped it on air that his wife had a miscarriage, and he just hit a walk-off homer. He was going to call her and see how she was doing. Left me speechless.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you respond to that?
I'll let you go now, Roger. What things to attend to. Congrats on the win. Go take care of business.
You might want to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think sports media needs to do better?
I don't know what they need to do better. I just think it's changing so fast. Everything is changing so fast. The way it's consumed. Back in our day, we keep going back in our day, which really wasn't that long ago, really. But you waited around for Sports Center to come on to get the highlights, to get the news. You waited around for the box score in the paper, going back maybe a generation earlier, to get that kind of information. Now, people really don't watch the game. They'll scroll their feed, watch a highlight, and keep moving. They're really not engaged in the entire game. So as far as consuming the games go and consuming your information, I think it's consumed so differently than it used to be that people are picking and choosing where they get it, when they get it. It's on their time. It's on their dime. And I think that the media, the way it was structured before, as far as we're going to build up this news show at 11 o'clock or 6 o'clock and share what we've got. Well, by that time, it's all old news, or people aren't sticking around to watch that. So how it's going to change, I think you have to find a way through social media to put your stuff out there. Put it out there before the pregame show starts or before the intermission starts. Tease it. Hey, this is what we've got coming up on the pregame show tonight. You send it out on social media. You try and get a hook that way, and you really try to use social media to build your own brand as far as the team goes, or your shows go, your intermissions go, halftimes, whatever it might be. Tease them with what you've got on social media and draw them in, because everybody's really consuming through social media in some way, shape, or form, not sitting down to watch the game or watch the news show for their highlights.
Since Twitter used to be the place. It was as good a news source as AP, CP, anything. And since that changed, we'll put that charitably.
That changed. That's very polite. Very polite.
Different now. It's different. What's your social media of choice?
Probably Instagram. I'm not a Twitter guy. I don't know enough about some of the other formats. I never really dug into it. I've never been a look at me sort of guy. If I'm going to promote anything, it's going to be the player's going to be in the shot. It's the game. Tune in for the game here tonight. I'm not taking pictures of myself at the park or whatever. So I'm really not out there like that trying to build my own social media platform for that purpose. So I'm really not a TikTok guy. I've seen some TikToks. They're pretty funny. I've never done one myself. I put some Instagrams out there. So I'd have to say my most trusted or reliable, or my go-to, would be Instagram over anything else right now, but I'm probably behind the times with that.
Yeah.
And what is the – sorry, go ahead, Craig.
I say we all missed what Twitter used to be. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. And what is the what's the hardest part about doing your job?
Covering teams that aren't winning. Winning makes the job so much more enjoyable, so much easier for everybody involved. I'll take you back to the Lions during the Millen era. You guys certainly remember that. I covered that team for you'll remember this. They set a record, 24 straight road losses over 3 seasons. I was on the road because we had a show called the Black and Blue Preview, the Black and Blue Review. We would go on the road with the team. 3 straight seasons, never covered a win on the road. there were like 3 guys at that time that would talk. Jeff Backus, Dominic Raiola, those guys would talk. Nobody else would talk. So you're going to the well, the same guys every week, and they just lost in some way you can't imagine yet again. And the fans were just hating Matt Millen at the time. The fans were hating the teams at the time. That was hard work. Covering losing teams is the hardest work you will do. And it may sound, you're just covering sports, but when everybody's miserable, it's no fun.
Wouldn't Dan Orlovsky talk? Talk a lot now.
Really? He didn't
He
talk?
talks, yeah. He gets paid now to talk.
I
I think Joey Harrington might have been the quarterback back in those days, too. For a while, a bit later, maybe Jeff Garcia. There were a bunch of them that ran through here.
Yeah, I can see how that would be.
I remember covering a game in Cleveland. Ty Detmer threw 7 interceptions, then Mike McMahon promptly threw 2 more. I remember that. But those were the things going on back in the day. But
yeah, I imagine like as fans, we're obviously completely miserable. Craig and I are 98% scar tissue, but it's got to be even harder for the people in the organization, right? You know, yeah. I mean, that's their livelihood. That's their. I can't even imagine what that must be like. You know, doom and gloom, and yeah. And I guess you would hold on to those ray of hopes, like the Dominic Raiolas who will talk to you. You know, as part of their job.
Those guys were pure gold and great people. But for those fans out there who don't think the front office cares, or the coaches don't care, or they don't see what's going on, like you said, they live and die with this. This is their livelihood. You know, they measure themselves by the success that they have with their team. So anybody who thinks that Steve Yzerman's enjoying what's going on right now, he's not. Anybody who thinks that Matt Millen enjoyed those days, he didn't. You know, when the Tigers were losing, there was no joy in Mudville. So, yeah, losing sucks for everybody.
That reminds me of a quote from Brandon Inge. Do you remember this one, Craig? And when they were about to, they had to win like their last 4 or 5 games of the season to prevent having the worst season in MLB history. Right?
3 Tigers.
2013,
yeah.
23.
And they asked him if there was a lot of pressure, and he just said no. The pressure was losing all those games, right? Like it just that was the hardest part. You know, being in games where you can actually win was exciting. Right, getting blown out, and that was the worst part. So,
yeah. Scott and I were on a lot of losing football teams in high school. I didn't know that. And once at TSN, I was sent down to York University. They were going to set the record for most consecutive CIAU losses, and I had to interview the coach. And I remember, it's probably the worst question I've ever asked. But I asked him, "Does it ever get easier?" Because I was hoping he would say, like, no, this is always hard. I was hoping to get that. And he just lost it on me. Like, obviously, I was the needle that hit that nerve. I got a great clip. As far as credibility, I left my question in. I thought that was fair enough to him to show that he wasn't just.
You were doing your job, right? I mean, you ask questions, and that's a tough situation.
It was a yes or no question. There were better questions to ask. I didn't quite have my interviewing game down yet, but I know it was fair enough. We've asked you the worst part about the job. What's the best part about the job?
I'll just touch on one more thing before I get to that. When David Price was here in Detroit, on his locker, and it was just like on 8x11 paper written in pen, if you don't like it, pitch better, James Shields. And I just tweaked that along the way. If you don't like it, play better. So, when those coaches or whatever, they want to get mad at you and take it out. Don't shoot the messenger, man. You don't like it, play better, be better, But the best part of the job, doing something you love to do. For the last 25 years, I've been here in Detroit, and many years before that being in this business in Toronto and Vancouver, and having the opportunity to just cover sports and go to games for a living. I'm showing up and getting paid to go to a game, doing something I love, something I have a passion for, something I've always been invested in, something I was doing for free long before I ever thought I could make a living at it, is the best part of the job. It really has been a dream come true. I've been able to do this within an hour and a half of my parents' home. My friends, like I told you, come to games all the time, hang out. To have that opportunity to do that has been the best part of the job. And I think anybody who's in this business will tell you that is the best part of the job, doing something you love.
And just one more question. What do you want people to know about sports media?
I think what I just said. I think the people that are doing this, the people that are bringing you the games, the people that are writing, they love what they're doing. They love engaging with you. They love bringing you behind the scenes. They love talking to the athletes and introducing you to them through their work. We love what we do. And I think that's what I really would want people to know and to take away from all this when they see us. It's not like we love being on TV or we love our name and the byline or whatever. We love what we do. And we love bringing the games to you, the athletes to you, and challenging ourselves to do it better and more creatively and in a more entertaining fashion all the time. That's what we love to do. Everybody who's in this business is in it because they love it.
Nice.
That's great, Trevor. Now, this is the part of the show where we promote our own things. So you mentioned you're a guest, so you get to go first. You mentioned your podcast. You can bring that up again and anything else you want to promote.
The Believe in Lions podcast with Glover Quinn and Trevor Thompson. And here's what, I can't break this. There's breaking news about this that you're going to have to wait for. I shouldn't have teased it like that, but
this
big
doesn't
news
come out
coming.
for a week until after we release this. So it'll be already old.
It's still going to be too early. It's still going to be too early. But early in August, big news about the Believe in Lions podcast with Glover Quinn and myself.
Okay.
Scooby.
First of all, I just got to have a little cameo here.
There you go.
Okay. My latest book is called That's What You Think, a practical guide to writing compelling op-eds and short memoirs. It is a writing guide, and it's very good.
It is. It's excellent. Scott is maybe my brother, but he's one of my favorite writers too. And this is coming out August 15th, The Unqualified Hockey Coach and Stories of Springsteen, True Love, and How to Be Utopian. It's awesome and very affordable. And if you're looking for an older sports book, it's 3 years old, all caps, stories that justify an outrageous hat collection. It's won 4 awards. And I got to say,
that's awesome. For
my Lions hats in here, I spent a lot of time just beating on the Lions. And as soon as this book came out, the Lions got really good.
They are really good.
Yeah, and yeah. I feel a little bad about all the bad things I said about the Lions.
No, don't. They were all true at the time.
Yes.
New era.
Yes.
Yep.
And if there's ever a second edition, I may have to put it. I bought a new Lions hat, so I may have to put a little addendum in there. But, Lions, if anybody's out there who's read the book and read the things that I said about them, I don't take it all back, but I'm certainly happy to have another chapter to write about the Lions.
So here's what I'm going to do now, guys. Well, not now immediately, but for the next few days, I'm going to be walking to the mailbox looking for my copies of those books you guys just promoted, so that I can read them myself.
All right.
That'll be awesome.
It'll be great.
Yeah,
Thanks for you guys sending me copies.
Okay. Listen, if you can mention us on Believe in Lions, I guarantee you're getting books.
I can get what I want. That's a beautiful thing.
You just drop it in there because I'm listening now. If you drop in
me too.
Any of the names of our books for you and for your co-host.
It'll be easy to drop it in with those hats.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Trevor Thompson, a fantastic professional, a former colleague of mine. Even when we were on the row making no money watching games, this guy was awesome, worked hard, cared. And those seven Emmys are not an accident. Neither is the Dresden Hall of Fame. So thank you to a true Hall of Famer, Trevor Thompson. I know that people in the Michigan area will love this. I know that people in Southwestern Ontario will love this. And I know that anybody who likes the inside look at the media will love this too. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks for being on the show, Trevor.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Great to see you guys.